Welcome, dear listeners, to the rain's echo. Prepare yourselves, for as the rain pours down on that desolate cornfield, the ground might just reveal stories better left untold. Keep your wits about you, for in this tale nothing is as it seems. Dive in if you dare, but remember, every echo you hear might just be calling out to you. The Rain's Echo. Chapter 1. Disturbing Rhythms. In the quiet town of Hallowbrook, nestled against a backdrop of sprawling fields and distant hills, Jeremy, a young farmer, found solace in the rhythmic sound of rain on his tin roof. The vast cornfield adjacent to his house stood tall and swayed with the gentle gusts of wind. But tonight, the rhythm was broken by a peculiar, repetitive noise, a thumping that was inconsistent with the rain's pitter-patter. Curiosity got the better of him. Jeremy grabbed his lantern, pulling his raincoat tight around him, and ventured into the storm to investigate. Chapter 2. Shadow in the Stalks. The further Jeremy ventured into the cornfield, the louder the strange thumping grew. He could barely see a few feet ahead of him due to the density of the stalks and the rain's cascade. But as he pushed through, a silhouette briefly emerged in the distance, tall, much taller than any man he'd ever seen, and oddly proportioned. Startled, Jeremy dropped his lantern, plunging his surroundings into darkness. The tall being seemed to disappear, but the thumping continued, now accompanied by an echoing whisper that seemed to chant a rhythmic, unintelligible phrase. Chapter 3. Pursuit. Realizing he might not be alone, and perhaps in danger, Jeremy decided to retreat. But every direction he took seemed to lead him further into the labyrinth of corn. The thumping grew louder, faster, and closer. Panic set in. He could hear the whispers circling him, the tall figure's elongated shadow appearing and disappearing between the stalks. Every rustle, every splash of mud beneath his feet echoed the urgency of his flight. Chapter 4. The Barn's Illusion. In his disoriented state, Jeremy stumbled upon an old barn, a barn he didn't remember ever being in his field. Desperate for shelter and a place to hide, he entered. Inside, amidst the decaying hay and rusted tools, he found old drawings pinned to the walls. They depicted ceremonies, rituals, and at the center of them all was the depiction of a tall, shadowy being, similar to what he saw in the cornfield. In the dim light, he also spotted an old book on a wooden table titled Guardians of the Rain. The book spoke of a deity that would emerge during certain rainstorms, seeking offerings in exchange for bountiful harvests. It dawned on Jeremy that perhaps previous inhabitants of this land had made deals they couldn't fulfill. Chapter 5. Descent into Darkness. The thumping ceased, replaced by the being's haunting whispers just outside the barn door. It seemed to be searching, its long fingers occasionally scraping against the wooden exterior. Jeremy, paralyzed with fear, hid behind bales of hay, praying the being wouldn't find him. Hours felt like days. As the storm raged on outside, Jeremy felt an overwhelming compulsion to respond to the whispers. It was as if the being was communicating, calling him. Resisting the urge, Jeremy recited prayers, trying to drown out the entity's beckoning. Chapter 6. Dawn's Reprieve. The storm eventually began to wane, the whispers fading with it. As the first light of dawn pierced the barn's gaps, the entity seemed to retreat. Exhausted and traumatized, Jeremy made his way out, the cornfield now eerily silent. His home in the distance looked untouched by the night's horrors. Chapter 7. Echoes. Remain, though he was back in the safety of his home, Jeremy was forever changed. The townsfolk spoke of his wild tales of the tall being, many dismissing it as the ramblings of an old, isolated man. However, every rainstorm that graced Hallowbrook was met with dread by Jeremy. He often spoke of seeing the tall figure in the distance, standing at the edge of the cornfield, waiting. Even after Jeremy's passing, tales of the rain's echo and the tall guardian of the field became part of Hallowbrook's whispered legends. No one ventured into the cornfield during a storm, for fear of what might be waiting inside. Thank you for journeying with us into the realm of the unknown tonight. If you felt a shiver down your spine and want to dive deeper into the world of true horror, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It's the best way to ensure you never miss out on our spine-tingling tales. Until next time, remember, the scariest stories are the ones that are true. Sleep tight, brave souls.